Hey, Jessica Krug and Rachel Dolezal. I think Ruby has something to say about the real experience of a black woman.
Get strong.
Welcome again to 5 on the Backhand Side. This week, we break down episode 8 of Lovecraft Country titled Jig-A-Bobo. Warning, there will be spoilers. Thanks for clicking on this video, and be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. With that out of the way, let's get to the breakdown. We begin with the funeral for Emmett Till, aka Bobo, with Cruel Summer in the background playing. A strange song choice. This reenactment captures the grief among so many at the time. Dee, Tick, Letty, Ruby, and Montrose are waiting to see the body of Emmett Till. Tick keeps asking Letty if she okay and if she wants to sit, and gives her his water offered by Montrose. Ruby wonders if it was the right thing to bring Dee, and Montrose says it's every Negro's rite of passage in this country, whether child or not. Letty and Tick argue about telling Dee the truth about what happened to her mother and father. Meanwhile, Dee is snuck off, and they break off to go look for her. Tick curiously stares at his watch. Dee is outside of an arcade when two girls exit giggling. She throws rocks at them in her grief. Suspension of disbelief alert. They are starting early this time. Lancaster and another officer are able to track down Dee, one of millions of black children living in Chicago in 1955, based on her homemade comic book alone. They ask her where her mother is and what she knows about magic. They trip her and he puts his nasty spit on this little girl while placing a curse on her. I wanted to come through the screen and whip his ass. Back at the house, Gia is waiting for Tick. Ooh, something is about to go down. Tick goes to a mausoleum to meet Christina, the reason he was checking his watch. He wants her to teach him how to cast a spell for protection. She tells him he needs an incantation and shows him a protection symbol, and in return, he gives her the key to the machine. Christina wishes her cousin good luck as she leaves, but he stops her in her tracks when he asks about the autumnal equinox. She tells him this is how she will achieve immortality. Dee arrives back home where Montrose is waiting. The child is in grief and all they do is keep lying to her, and she tells him just that. She runs to her room and shuts the door. I wish she would have used some soap to wipe that spit off her face. While Montrose tells her about something similar that happened to him as a child, the song on the radio changes to Stop That Knocking, an 1847 minstrel song written by A.F. Winnemore. Like many of the songs in this show, I went to YouTube and found some interesting comments. One of my favorites written by BWNC, Black with No Chaser. Lovecraft Country definitely sent me here, cause there's no other way I'd be here. The pickaninny on the cover of her Uncle Tom's Cabin book changes its features to those of a demon ripping the face off of the white girl. Dee escapes down the fire escape as Montrose enters. He picks up the book that fell and the cover is back to normal. Ruby is entering the house she shares with Christina when a white gardener asks if she's the maid and demands to know what is she doing there. William arrives and diffuses the situation. In one of the freakiest scenes ever filmed, Ruby takes the potion to become white and William bones the black back into her. Tick heads back to Letty's and notices Gia's shoes outside the door. Normally, any fellow in this situation would just turn the hell around and leave, but he mans up and goes inside. They are both waiting for him at the table. Dee is trying to catch the L to somewhere when two of the creepiest little girls appear on screen. The demon pickaninnies that only she can see are after her. She manages to make it through a turnstile and escapes. Back to Tick's baby mama and side piece, Gia tells him that she is a Kumiho. She cannot tell him how he is supposed to die, so he angrily yells at her as to why she is there.
Because she loved you.
Letty leaves and Tick utters some of the cruelest words ever to a woman.
Our shit wasn't real.
Tick and Letty argue about why she had to hear the truth from Gia and tells him to go. When he starts to leave, she asks where he's going. Yeah, that's a woman in love. He tells her he is going to cast a spell and that he gave Christina the key. I think she really wanted to tell him during this scene that she's pregnant, but she doesn't. Ruby tries to explain to Christina the pain she is feeling over the death of Emmett Till, but she does not care about it or anything else other than achieving her own goals. Dee tries to tell Letty what is happening to her, but is unable to speak the words. Suspension of disbelief alert number 2. Dee finds Woody, which was basically just in the open between two trees. Did they not think she could find it if she came to visit? Tick and Montrose have a heart-to-heart about his sexuality and family. Montrose says familial love is the strongest bond there is. Tick tells him that he went to the future and has a son. He shows him the book written by his son, George Freeman. Now we have Letty meeting Christina, this time in a church. She will give her the negatives of Titus's pages if she makes Tick invulnerable. She says she will not do it for Tick, but for her. Letty agrees because she is pregnant, and Christina places the mark of Cain on her. Dee is stalking Captain Lancaster with the demon girls coming up from behind. She follows him to their lodge on her bike. Tick tells Montrose that in the book written by his son, Christina will sacrifice him during the autumnal equinox, which is in 5 days during this timeline. Montrose says he will die trying to make sure Tick and his grandson live. Suspension of disbelief number 3. So Dee can just walk up in the lodge? She wants to get some answers about her mom and the demon stalking her. Captain Lancaster wants the orrery from the Winthrop house. She spits on him and says,
"Fuck you, pig."
This young lady is fierce. She evades the demons once more after leaving the lodge. Tick and Montrose try to cast the spell, with Montrose revealing that he is dyslexic. Tick asks if there are any other secrets he is keeping. We know what that look on your face means, Uncle Daddy. They cast the spell and nothing happens. Christina hires a couple of thugs to kill her in the same manner as Emmett Till, so that she can feel something and relate to Ruby. One can only wonder what the young 14-year-old boy went through if this is how it happened. The terror he must have felt. Christina emerges from the water and starts to cry. Letty tells Ruby she is pregnant, and Ruby tells her all about Christina. She says she is getting exactly what she wants, magic, and she believes that Christina will teach her. One of the boarders yells for Letty to come upstairs right away. Dee makes preparations for battle at her father's office. She makes drawings of the demons, since she is unable to say what is after her. The cops are at the Winthrop house and demand to come inside. The protection barrier stops Lancaster from entering. After they walk away, the cops start shooting up the place. Dee starts swinging on the demons with a piece of metal. The girl is in the fight for her life. Letty sits up with bullets flying all around her. She cannot be hurt because of the mark of Cain. Montrose finds Dee and grabs her. She begs him to let her go as the demons sink their teeth into her flesh. Tick is walking back to the house and hears the gunfire. He sees the cops in the street shooting, and they immediately turn their guns on him. Letty runs out to get in front of him, but does not make it in time as the cops begin firing. A black Shoggoth emerges from underground and protects Tick. It attacks the cops viciously, killing them all. Why is Tick running like he just learned how? I mean, that's some real Isaac Hayes Truck Turner type running. Compare him to how Letty ran in episode 1, and you will see what I mean. The Shoggoth approaches Tick and Letty, but stop when Tick raises his hand and places it on its head. Letty says the spell worked. As they say in France, la fin. So, what do y'all think of this episode? I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. It is by far the scariest of the episodes, and I love Jada Harris in it. This young lady is a serious talent and has a bright future ahead of her. She had a lot of weight to carry in this episode, and she made it look easy. You could feel the pain and fear of which this young lady was going through. You could also feel anger at the utter lack of awareness of the adults, who were supposed to protect her, but they were only worried about protecting themselves. They all keep telling lies when the truth would be so much better. I'm just going to say it. Tick is my least favorite character in this series, and the female cast members are carrying this show like Hannibal across the Alps. I did not know it, but the Demon Girls, characters named Topsy and Bopsy on the IMDb page, are played by women who are professional dancers. Topsy is played by Kayleen Gobert-Harris and Bopsy by Bianca Bruton. It's also hard to believe that this was Misha Green's first time directing. She's got to be one of the most in-demand showrunners or up-and-coming directors at the moment. One final note, there are only 2 episodes left, so let's enjoy the rest of this ride. Thanks again for watching this video, and be sure to hit the like and subscribe button on your way out. And always, keep it copacetic.